So there's a show out right now called WandaVision. I'm pretty sure some people know of it. It's not a big deal. No, not really. Hey, did you know the soundtrack slaps?
Who's been messing up everything?
It's been Agatha all along.
Yeah, at this point, WandaVision is like the most popular show on TV right now, and it's the thing that a lot of people need for their beginning of the year COVID fix, and that was surely what I had for the most part of this show. I was excited about the show, but I also wasn't going in with wild expectations or predictions, so I was thoroughly surprised with this show, and I had a great time until the finale, but we'll get to that. I'll be honest and say that I didn't know how I wanted to approach this review, as all options seem very nice but have their caveats. If I go for a review of each episode, it would be too drawn out and boring. If I reviewed the entire series as what it is, then I wouldn't really be able to name my specific issues with some episodes. However, my video storage is almost full, so the whole series review it is! Immediately, what I love about the series, even in its weakest episodes, is the production design and visuals. They really tried their damnness to try and emulate the feeling each sitcom it's paying homage to. Strangely, I think the worst episodes had the best production look and effects in that regard, but more on that later. The performances are also fantastic, with Elizabeth Olsen giving her best performance as this character ever, and Paul Bettany also doing something equally great work. I love the mystery surrounding what's going on with this world, and I wanted to know so much about what was happening. I had my own theories, but I tried to stay away from what others thought, especially online with where potential leaks would happen, which is the worst. So with that mindset, I was pleasantly surprised with many of the twists here, except for one, but we'll get to that in the spoiler section, don't worry. The makeup and costume design were all top notch. It was a lot of fun seeing the changing looks of each character. Also, did I mention how much the soundtrack slaps?
Who's been messing up everything?
It's been Agatha all along.
I love how dedicated the creators were to making each episode focusing on a specific sitcom feel like that sitcom, even with the intros to many episodes. My favorite was probably their homage to Malcolm in the Middle. Alright, I've gone too long without spoiling stuff, so here's your warning. Go watch the show and then come back to this point in the video. Okay, 3, 2, 1, magic abilities. Okay, so I said there was one twist that I didn't necessarily get surprised by, nor did I think that they executed that well, and unfortunately it was the Agatha all along twist.
Messing up everything. It's been Agatha all along.
I love the song, but I wasn't really into that twist. It was obvious from the start that Agnes had something to do with what was going on, but the thing that made me not like this twist was just how smug the showrunners thought they were, thinking how clever that twist was. As much as the song rocked, the scene itself was just so nothing to me, and unfortunately tanked my enjoyment a lot for both her character and the show as a whole. I love Kathryn Hahn, and she did a great job as usual, but her character just wasn't given so much for me to latch onto, and it just made her character more bland. I'm still not a fan of Darcy. She still annoys me, and I guess I'm not a fan of Kat Dennings. She's a lot better in this show than she is in Thor: The Dark World, but that's just like saying you're not dog vomit anymore, you're just human vomit now. These first two episodes took too much time setting up this story, and I got bored easily of them. Another issue I had about this show, made more clear by the end of the show, is that Wanda seemingly gets no repercussions for her actions. If anything, she gains more than she loses, like her new costume, which by the way looks so dope, her newfound control of her abilities, and probably some evil personality, I don't know, we'll see. But her controlling of all these people, some even having children that they're missing, made me find Wanda more villainous than anything. Also, something that just came to mind, and I haven't seen anyone really discuss this, but if anything, Agnes really didn't do anything much to any other character besides Wanda. Besides controlling that guy's mind in episode 3 and creating a fake Pietro, she didn't do anything to anyone to deserve the title of villain. If they wanted me to hate Agatha more, maybe she starts killing them or absorbing the people's souls or anything that makes me hate her. But Wanda kind of does more evil things to these people. I mean, controlling them is one thing, but controlling them to the point where they can't leave Westview and pretending to be someone else, to be this certain character in her fantasy, makes Wanda seem more villainous than any other character in the show. This can only not be an issue if the creators are telling us that Wanda is going to be the main villain for the future of the MCU, or any type of villain. She doesn't need to be the main, but any type of villain. I mean, that would be one of the most interesting things to happen in this universe since Thanos and Infinity War. They could address this in Doctor Strange too, but for now, it remains my biggest issue with the show. It just felt like the writers didn't know where they want to end up by the end of the show, and it kind of shows. Also, trolling us with the whole Ralph Boner twist, just no. That you're not pulling this on me with the Mandarin or Nick Fury's eye. The final battle was just very standard Marvel action, nothing special there, and overall I was a little disappointed with the finale. So you might be thinking, oh Patrick, you must really hate the show judging from how picky you are about some character decisions. Ugh. Actually no, I don't hate the show, but these problems just stood out so exponentially that I just had to address them. The rest of the show was just an absolute delight. Many moments stuck with me throughout the show, whether it be big revelations or a strong emotional moment. I love the ending to episode 2, furthering the mystery along, and that image of the beekeeper. I love the ending to episode 3 and the tension that was built up throughout the leading into episode 4 with the big reveal of Sword. I love the blip scene and the special effects that went into it. Episode 5 had maybe my favorite moments in the show, particularly from the moment Wanda exits the barrier to confront the Sword agents to that amazing confrontation with Wanda and Vision, to of course that big reveal at the end with Evan Peters, even if it wasn't going to be true who he was. That made me just all sorts of happy. The conclusion to episode 6 was one of my favorites, seeing Vision torn apart, trying to escape the barrier, and Wanda expanding it. That was just brilliant in my opinion. Episode 8 was probably my favorite episode. Seeing Wanda's true motivations and how she created everything. Not only was it well handled on a story level, but Elizabeth Olsen just kicked ass in this episode in particular. And even with my flaws with the finale, those last 10 minutes were some of the most emotional in the MCU. There's literally so much to love about the show, and the positives do outweigh the negatives in my opinion. It's just the negatives are too noticeable for me. Also, did I mention how much the soundtrack slaps? So yeah, I like the show, but I'd be lying if I said I was a little disappointed with some of it too. It's a good old 7 out of 10 for me. I can't wait to see what the next few shows have in store and the future of the MCU from here. Also, did I mention how much the soundtrack slaps?